Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. Your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Again, thank you so much for watching. We have everybody's favorite sportscaster, AP Steadham. Hey, AP, how are you doing today? Is it a challenge or what?
I'm good, Donna. No, we're gonna make progress on Monday.
There
We're
you
gonna
go.
we're gonna
I
move
say no
forward.
other way, hey,
That's
let's
it.
go ahead
Yeah.
and make it happen. Wow, let's
Yes.
talk about college football is really getting interesting now.
Oh, Donna, it was so exciting. I was fortunate to be in Baton Rouge this weekend for that night game, Alabama versus LSU. It's low scoring in the first half, 7-6.
Hmm.
And Alabama and LSU went back and forth. And Donna, we know at the end, LSU, instead of saying we're going to play in overtime, just kick the extra point, they went to try the 2 point conversion down it, and they called the perfect play. And it happened to be right in front of me when I was on the field at that point. And so the tight end went in motion from left to right, and the quarterback, Jaden Daniels, he's been getting better every week down it. He's been sensational. He threw the pass, and Taylor, the tight end, the young tight end from South Florida, caught it and lunged across at the pylon, and the game was over. 32-31. LSU defeated Alabama.
Okay, I got to say, this is a woman's perspective. They were almost ballroom dancing at the very first. I mean, back and forth, back and forth.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. The defenses shut each other down. The opposing offenses down. But I'm just very impressed with the way LSU done it since the first game when I saw them get beat by Florida State by 1 point in the Superdome in New Orleans. How they've progressed to now where they're in position to win that division because they've beaten Ole Miss. And Donna, I was at LSU when they were losing 17-0 to Auburn at Auburn.
Hmm.
And then a couple of weeks later, I was there when they were losing at home to Ole Miss 17-3. So this team is not out when you have them down. I mean, they have the resiliency to come back
Hmm.
and led by their quarterback. In their defense, they have a couple of edge rushers and linebackers that are very good getting after the opposing team's quarterback. And then Jaden Daniels down, he can run. He can get you 100 yards on the ground as the quarterback, either from design plays or scrambling, and he's quite effective. And that's one of the questions that I posed early in the week to Nick Saban. How are you going to contend with this quarterback? You're playing a man-to-man defense, and the secondary is covering the wide receivers with their back to the ball. And this quarterback might get by your defensive linemen and your linebackers, and then it's a big problem. And it was. And they couldn't stop him, and he made yardage when they were had some coverage and some pressures, but he just outran the defenders, the
Hmm.
front seven. So yeah, that was
Hmm.
an issue.
So where does this put Alabama in the rankings this week?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll slide down there between 10 and 15. They're going to have the college football rankings coming out again. I think it's tomorrow. Down they'll meet every week now in Dallas, Texas. That committee of 13 people that picks the four teams at the end. So they'll slide down. Um, there's an outside chance that they can win the division, but really, I think it's LSU's to lose. The LSU has 3 games. They have to go up to Arkansas. They have to host UAB from Alabama,
Hmm.
and then they have to travel to College Station. That last game should be the College Station game. So
Hmm.
in Texas A&M done, they've lost 5 games in a row. They haven't done that since was it
Yeah.
1970, maybe something like that, right? Been in
Hmm.
half a century, 40, 50 years. So yeah, LSU is in a tremendous spot for them because Arkansas, Donna, was upset by Liberty, which was amazing. Liberty's having a
That
sensational
was
season.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, they're having a great season. They're 8-1. They only lost a 1 point game to Wake Forest, 37-36. And Liberty has beaten BYU 41-14 at home. They beat them in Virginia. But I
Hmm.
just thought that game was a possibility that Arkansas would lose, and they sure did. They were down 21 zip down at home in Fayetteville. I mean, those fans must have, they couldn't believe themselves probably to be losing to Liberty. Not, Liberty has a good team, but Arkansas should not lose to Liberty. It
Uh-huh.
shouldn't happen. Okay. And so they couldn't make the 2 point conversion near the end. So they lost by 2 points, 21-19. But anyway, getting back to that Alabama game, the secondary had its issues, and Bryce Young threw an interception. This is the first time I can recall. Maybe since he's been the starter, he was under 50% throwing the football,
Mhm.
25 of 51, 25 for 51. So it's right under 50%, which is that's a low figure in college football now. Usually you want to be 60% or
Mhm.
above. So, but they scored plenty of points to win the game, but defensively they weren't able to shut down LSU when it mattered. Just couldn't.
Mhm. Yeah, what's this going to
So,
do for the rest of the season? Let's get to the Iron Bowl. I
yeah,
think it makes a more interesting Iron Bowl.
well, yeah, Auburn has an interim coach, Cadillac Williams. His team was
Mhm.
down 24-6 at halftime. Most teams probably would quit. They wouldn't have such an effort in the second half. Auburn came roaring back, tied up the ball game, and ended up losing the overtime.
Mhm.
Auburn had about 250 yards rushing, only
Mhm.
75 yards passing. They're actually per play, Donna, against Mississippi State was I think 4.9, and Mississippi State's a passing team. They're only 4.6, so they did a good job, but they just
Mhm.
couldn't keep them out of the end zone. And Mississippi State only had 13 yards rushing,
Yeah.
but they end up losing the game. So Auburn, they're looking for their coach. Um, I don't know what they're going to do the next game, Donna. You're playing hard for the interim coach the first ball game, and now they have the next game. I don't know what's going to happen if they're going to have that same type of effort. You hope that they come out with a better um, game in the first. They're playing A&M, Texas A&M, which is
Uh-huh.
a team that's down as well, 5 losses.
Mhm.
They don't have they didn't fire the coach or anything because he has the 80 something million year 80 something $1 million buyout right now, Jimbo
Mhm.
Fisher. But Auburn's hosting Texas A&M, so that's a game they could win. But they're just trying to survive the season and get to the next year at Auburn
Mhm.
and Texas A&M as well.
Well, I saw a little energy. Is it because of Cadillac? Cadillac used to play. Cadillac is actually from our neck of the woods, in
Right,
Atala,
right, tell
Alabama.
right, yeah,
So, was there some kind of new energy that came out
yeah.
because
I
of
mean,
Cadillac?
I think so. I mean, they didn't start well, like I say, 24-6 at halftime, but
Mhm.
they stayed with it, and they made that comeback, but they couldn't go over the top and win the ball game.
Mhm.
But like I say, the second game under the interim coach, I don't know if they're going to have the same type of intensity. But like I say, Texas A&M is a team that's struggling and suffering through the season, so maybe they don't play very well. Two teams uh, probably don't even want to be there at this point right now. They don't even want to be there probably at this point.
Yeah, I wonder how the crowd's going to be.
Yeah, I think it won't be as many people as normal. I don't think it'll be a sellout. It could be, but I don't think so because
Hmm.
A&M is, like I say, a team that's five straight losses. They won't get a lot. They're probably returning tickets. I'm thinking. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know if they sold all their tickets. That Auburn allots them. So I don't know if they'll return some. Probably not a sellout, but Alabama's got to go up to Ole Miss, and Auburn's got to play Texas A&M. So um, we'll see what happens. Ole Miss is still in a position to be part of that championship if something happens to LSU, which I don't think it will. But and then Ole Miss wants
Hmm.
to beat Alabama. Lane Kiffin wants to beat Nick Saban for sure
Hmm.
because they're trying to be a better program in the SEC Western Division and challenged for years to come. And so that helps them with recruiting and just building up his fan base and making people confident that he could win at Ole Miss.
What if Lane Kiffin were the Auburn coach? What if?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think he'll probably get some better offensive players, skill players, but you have to get the linemen done, offensive linemen. Auburn,
Hmm.
the next coach must recruit hard on the offensive line, and that's
Hmm.
something that I would think if I was the next Auburn coach, this is my position, I would try to get at least two or three transfers from in the transfer portal because
Hmm.
you have to shore up that offensive line immediately because that affects your quarterback.
Hmm.
So, and then you have to go out and recruit. I'm trying to get myself, let's say, a half a dozen linemen that are freshmen or junior college transfers, and then also get, like I said, two or three on the offensive line that can help you. That way
Hmm.
you can put them on one side if you feel you have a strength on one side of the offensive line next year.
Hmm.
Yeah, but and then you're going to have to get some more skilled players, players that can score down it when you don't have to coach. In other words, you throw a 10-yard pass, they run 50 for a touchdown.
Self
That
motivators.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know, and people who have the skills that can outrun the defenders, and you don't have to coach every play.
Hmm. Well, what are the chances Cadillac could be the next coach? Is there a
Yeah, I
chance for
don't,
that?
I don't think so, Don. I don't think so. I don't think he has the right skill set to be a head coach. You know, I think the new coach, I'd probably be smart to retain him as a running back coach because he's, you know,
Hmm.
an Auburn legend at the school. He's all-time leading rusher, I believe. So I would try to keep
Hmm.
Cadillac, you know, knows the state. I think the players like him.
Yeah, and let him come because I noticed that. I mean, they do
Yeah,
like him,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
had likability plays a lot into a winning.
yeah, yeah. So if they didn't like him, they probably wouldn't have played well in the second half to come
Hmm.
make that comeback. Yeah, they would have
Hmm.
just said, "Let's take it. Let's warm up the bus. Let's
Hmm.
take it to the house." Yeah.
Well, have you heard any chatter up out there as to who they could be talking with to be the next
Oh,
coach?
you hear the name Lane Kiffin quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Uh-huh.
You know, you hear Hugh Freeze from Liberty. You know, I mean, he's been successful in the league, and
Hmm.
here he is with his. He took his Liberty team and beat Arkansas in Fayetteville. I think that's pretty impressive.
Hmm.
So you hear those names, but you hear possibly like up at Oregon they have a coach. You know, he was at Georgia defensive coordinator. He's the head coach of
Hmm.
Auburn Oregon now. So you hear his name. You hear the assistant up there who was the OC at Auburn at one time. So, but I just do not. I don't know. All these people, Donna, that you hear mentioned, they're successful right now, so they
Hmm.
can't make a break. They're trying to complete their season. You know, they're in the midst of,
Uh-huh.
let's say, Liberty's trying to get to a nice bowl game, and Oregon's trying to get to the playoffs and win their league, and
Hmm.
Lane Kiffin's trying to win as many games as he can at Ole Miss. So it might be a while, Donna. This is November. It could be mid-November. I don't know if it will go into January to try to name a new coach. I don't know. I'm thinking it's mid-December at the very least. I'm
Hmm.
thinking something like that.
If they were to ask me, I would say leave Cadillac in there right now and find the right one. Don't be in such a rush.
Oh yeah, they shouldn't be in a rush because they have to rebuild the program. You know, it's
Hmm.
down right now. Yeah, they have to replenish it with talent that can compete at the highest level in the SEC. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, well, I'll tell you one everybody was watching. Tennessee, Georgia.
Oh my goodness, Donna, that game, I never thought that Georgia could shut down Tennessee for the entire game. Yes, do they have the people on in skill set on the defensive
Hmm.
side to slow down the receivers? Yes, but shut them down the entire game? No way. Less than 300 yards for Tennessee down at 289, I think was the final number. They
Hmm.
sacked Hendon Hooker, the quarterback, about a half a dozen times or so, pressured them some more, and they just took command of the game on the defensive side. It was
Hmm.
27-6 at one point. Tennessee scored at about between 4 and 5 minutes. They missed the onside kick, I believe, and they didn't have enough time to make a comeback. They had the
Hmm.
onside kick, maybe they would have scored and put the pressure on. But they did stop them, I think, defensively with the timeouts, but they couldn't do anything else at the end of the game. So, but that was one of the most impressive defensive efforts I've seen in quite a long time because Tennessee scoring 50 points a game, quarterback in contention for the Heisman, those receivers as a group are as good as anybody,
Hmm.
running backs outstanding, and they just shut them down. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the way if you're trying to beat Tennessee, slow down that offense, keep them out of the end zone,
Hmm.
make them just frustrate them. They're only 2 of 14 on third down. Of they've done 2 of 14. Georgia held Tennessee on the third down. That was phenomenal. I
Hmm.
mean, that's exceptional, Donna. I mean, wow, just almost shut them out. Almost shut them out on third down. Two of
Hmm.
14. Yeah,
True.
that's and that Tennessee has that fast-paced offense. They run a play like every 11 or 12 seconds down,
Hmm.
and they just could not. do anything with that Georgia defense. And Georgia had enough offense. We always said that Georgia has a good offense. They can throw. Stetson Bennett threw for about 250 yards. He was
Hmm.
17 to 25, couple of touchdowns, had an excellent ball game.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, things change from week to week. So, who's the team to really watch right now? Who's got the momentum going?
Yeah, I think Georgia, their schedule, they should win out down as far as on the eastern side. Georgia, let me just look at the schedule here for a second. Down. Georgia has the remaining games, Mississippi State and Starkville. That's kind of interesting, though, because they're a passing team.
Yeah.
When you're a passing team, Donna, if you're in the backfield and you fall down, the receiver can score a touchdown. I mean, a lot of things can happen when you throw the football, right? And then they have Kentucky at Lexington. Now, Kentucky is not played as well this season as advertised, but that's a big game for them. So they have to go to Lexington, and then they finish up, of course, with Georgia Tech in Athens. So there's a couple interesting games left for Georgia. I don't foresee them losing, but it might
Hmm.
be closer than expected because Donna, now the pressure is on Georgia. I mean, it's
Hmm.
always been because they're the reigning champion, but we're going to find out if the program as a whole can face that pressure and win these ball games. Two of them
Hmm.
on the road. Two of them on the
Hmm.
road. Yeah. And they're conference games. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it really has been an interesting year.
Yeah.
Went a little different than I thought it was going to go. Now, I was really expecting Tennessee for some reason. You and I have talked about that for a couple of years, and they seem to be
Yeah.
coming out of the kinks. But now they're remaining in the top five, I think, this week, even though they lost.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll be in the top 5 or 6 down. I wouldn't put them down too much in the polls. I mean, because you're losing to which is the top team, Georgia. They
Hmm.
have the most balance in the country, offense, defense, special teams. So you lost by a couple touchdowns. It wasn't close, really. But yeah, so Tennessee is still in contention. They want to be rooting for Georgia. They should root for Georgia to win because that means that if they beat the SEC Western Division opponent in Atlanta, that
Hmm.
Tennessee has a chance to be in the playoffs as one of the four
Hmm.
teams. They have an excellent chance, matter of fact. Yeah, because now we saw, well, let's bring up one of those teams we kind of discussed from time to time is Clemson. Clemson was upset by Notre Dame by 3 touchdowns, 35 to 14. It was 28 nothing down. Clemson was
Hmm.
losing. So that was a big
Hmm.
surprise. But I guess Notre Dame kind of exposed them. That was a huge win for Notre Dame,
Yeah.
the coach and the program itself. Donna, you have to remember Notre Dame lost to Marshall at home.
Hmm.
And then now they beat Clemson at home. Who can figure out these young players every
I
week?
don't know, but Clemson seems to have that pattern. They did this last year. They came out of the gate doing
Yeah,
okay, and then they started going down. What
yeah,
happens
they
to
had. I
them
think,
midseason?
yeah. Well, I think it's the quarterback play down because if you have that inconsistent play at the quarterback, your offense is sputtering. Consequently, your defense is on the field more. Maybe they get
Hmm.
worn down as the season
Yeah.
progresses. So, but they had to switch out the quarterbacks, and the veteran quarterback came into a pick six, so
Hmm.
that's 7 points going the other direction, and they just struggled. And now for them, they're kind of like in a position at Alabama's, and they want to keep up that of winning 10, 11, 12 games a season,
Hmm.
another bowl victory. So because I don't think that they're in the playoff hunt now. I don't think, particularly with that 3 touchdown loss to Notre Dame, because you have some other teams around the country now. TCU, that's a surprise team. They're still undefeated, but
Hmm.
they have some very competitive games. They have to play Texas this week. I think that's at Texas, and then they have to win that Big 12. I know the Pac 12, they have the one loss teams, Oregon with the one loss against Georgia, USC, the one loss against Utah, I believe it is, UCLA with the loss to Oregon. So they're fighting it out. They're rooting hard against TCU, probably.
Yeah.
They're trying to hopefully have TCU lose so they can be in contention for that playoff. If my projection would be down at this point. Ohio State, Michigan, they'll play in Columbus, so somebody's going to win or lose that game. If they
Hmm.
don't win or lose another game in between, they'll lose another game in between. So there will be one team from the Big Ten. Then you have the SEC winner. Then you'll have if TCU wins, they'll have TCU, and then
Hmm.
that's where Tennessee has a good chance to be that fourth team. Has a
Hmm.
chance to be that. Now TCU loses, you see, let's say Georgia. If Georgia wins out, You have maybe Tennessee, maybe you have a team from the Pac-12, then you have the
Mm-hmm.
Big Ten team, and that would shut out the Big 12, and the ACC would be shut out because you can only take four teams. But
Mm-hmm.
what if LSU Donna wins out? What if they win the West and then they beat Georgia in Atlanta? Then we
Mm-hmm.
have I would think Georgia would be the team that would knock Tennessee out. That's why Tennessee must root for Georgia.
Uh-huh. That makes
They must
sense.
root for Georgia.
It
Yeah,
really
they
does.
must root for Georgia. Yeah.
Now you're in New Orleans right now. So you eating some of that Cajun food?
Yeah, I had some last night, a little bit. We sure did, Donna. So we're going to be at the Baltimore Ravens New Orleans Saints game this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tonight. So that'll be fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
watch some of the players from the SEC. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah, another big week in the SEC. Alabama travels to Ole Miss, and as we said, Georgia's Mississippi State, and then Tennessee. They got to keep continuing to win. The Tennessee, they'll have Missouri, and not Missouri's a team that plays hard down. They lost to Kentucky, uh, close ball game, but Missouri's a team you have to watch out for them. They've
Mhm.
been competitive every week. Then Tennessee has to travel to South Carolina. South Carolina won again. They beat Vanderbilt, and then they wind up with Vanderbilt and Nashville. But so Tennessee, just keep focused on winning your ball games because you're right in the hunt for that college football playoff. And you don't
Mhm.
have to play a championship game. Georgia keeps winning. You can just finish out the season and wait for that Sunday, December the 4th, and see
Mhm.
how everything plays out around the country. But Tennessee's
Yeah.
in an excellent spot.
No, I think they are too. No doubt a million things can happen between now and
Oh my
then.
goodness,
But if
yeah,
I were to
yeah,
make a prediction, I would say, Georgia number
yeah,
one, Tennessee number two.
yeah. I think that you have a very good chance to have two SEC teams. Either way, it would be. I think if LSU keeps winning, it would be. I think you'd have to take LSU. If they win the conference, the LSU, and then it'd be Georgia. If Georgia
Hmm.
wins, it could be Georgia, Tennessee. But I think the SEC this season, projecting forward, should have two teams in the college football playoff out of the four, which is you
Hmm.
can't ask for more than that.
Hmm.
You have two
That's
teams out of
true.
the four. I mean, two teams out of the four. I mean, so
So who's the team? If I could only watch one football game this week, this week, who should I
yeah,
watch?
right this weekend. I don't know. I think it's you got to watch Georgia right now. Then I would say because they have to win their ball games, and this is against Mississippi State, a passing team.
Hmm.
People can fall down in the secondary. They get confused in the secondary, and somebody gets a wide open touchdown. The quarterback finds an opening. And so
Hmm.
when you play a passing team, whereas a running team down, you have to have more plays. You have to be successful over and over to move down the field. Whereas passing could take one play,
Hmm.
and say somebody's open. There was a coverage error in the secondary, miscommunication, and you get a touchdown, one play. So I would say watch Georgia, Mississippi State. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's the Georgia Bulldogs versus the Mississippi State
Hmm.
Bulldogs.
Well, there's a show that we all love. We air it right here at this station, IC Radio. And as we see it, I really do love this show with you and Kelly. And so let's
Oh,
talk about that. So who are you
oh
going to be interviewing
uh,
this week?
yeah, I'm here in New Orleans town. I'm going to try to get somebody connected with the Ole Miss Alabama game because I think that's one of the interesting games because Nick Saban is going against Lane Kiffin, and Lane Kiffin's trying to get his program to the top level. So and I haven't asked him yet, but Deuce McAllister is a former running back at Ole Miss, and he
Hmm.
and he does some things with the Saints. So I think I'm going to see him tonight. I'm going to try to see if he'll be our guest for that ball game. We had Burt Jones last week, the LSU legendary quarterback. Burt
Hmm.
was fun to have him on. He discussed the LSU quarterback now, Jaden Daniels. So going to try to get him, but maybe somebody connected to the Ole Miss Alabama game. I thought that would be excellent guest. Yeah.
Well, let's
But we
talk
we
about the
sure we
show.
sh- yeah, we sure appreciate being on your network down at IC Radio and
Oh, we
the the,
love
the,
love
the,
having you
the
on there.
different TV outlets. And Kelly and I, we have fun. We discuss all the teams, Donna. If we, if they have a bye, we probably won't. We just tell everybody there's a bye. They're not playing that weekend, but we discuss every team in the league, and then we also talk about the national scene. We'll bring up like an Ohio State or Michigan or Clemson or somebody. So we try to keep just a little, we have some information about those teams as well, but it's really SEC concentrated Well, if there's a good story out there, Kelly has the news and notes. If something happened across the country, she'll and sometimes Donna, I don't even know what the subject matter. She keeps me in the dark, so she'll bring up the news and notes, and I have to react live.
Well, she's really good and she thinks on her feet really fast.
She does. She does. She's quick, and I really enjoy having her as the co-host and AP and Kelly as we see it. And we're so thankful that we're on your network, IC Radio, Fridays at 4 p.m.
Four
4
o'clock.
p.m. 4 o'clock on Friday. And then if people, and Don, I don't know if you re-air some of the shows, but if they don't, we're on the different platforms too. Android and Apple as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but we really have a lot of fun. And Donna, it goes by so fast, and we just try to, we're laughing, we're getting mad at some teams for not playing well, and some coaches were not happy with their teams are playing. But we just love the fact that it's the SEC, and every week it's unscripted drama,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Oh
what makes
yeah.
it so much so intriguing for the
But
audience and us.
and I've got to say that I don't know if it's because of Kelly, but it's done with class.
Oh yeah, that's all. It's all her. It's all her time.
We
It's all her
appreciate that. Who's the coach you want to talk about this week? Who's making
time.
it happen? Who is going through some of the rough spots and they're making it happen?
Yeah. I would say that one of the more interesting teams across the country that um, I would say that Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, with that one loss right now.
Mm-hmm.
He had a chance. I mean, I was at the game, LSU and Ole Miss, and he was leading 17-3, couldn't hold the lead. LSU came back and scored 42 points to make it 45-20. Shut out a good offensive team in the second half. They didn't score a point. But Lane Kiffin, what he's done at Ole Miss with the transfers, I think he had about 25, Donna, might be the most in the country. He's put together a team this year that's very competitive. Now we have a chance to face Alabama on national television. And he's got his program right now where he wants it, because you're in contention with, which is really amazing. And also Brian Kelly is amazing. First year, you start off the season with a loss. You get Tennessee hammered you 40-17, and now here you are. You're in the lead in the Western Division. You control your destiny. So both of those coaches, I mean, they've done remarkable in the same division as Nick Saban. Alabama's looking to just survive over there right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the texts and the emails and things I'm receiving, how we are here in Alabama. Saban is the
Right.
best thing in the world when you're winning every game. Now everybody's
Yes.
saying, what's going to have to happen to Saban?
Well, I
Stop it,
do.
y'all.
Yeah, I do. You're right. They've lost 2 games by what, 4 points down, to 2 games by 4 points. One was a field goal, and one was a 1 point overtime loss this past weekend. But I think Nick Saban will make some drastic changes with his
No
staff.
doubt.
I think Bill O'Brien, he promised to be there 2 years, the offensive coordinator. I don't know this, but I'm thinking that he probably will move on, maybe to the NFL, unless he gets offered a head coaching position in college. That's what he wants to do. Down, that involves other recruiting.
Absolutely.
So
AP, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's always a pleasure.
hey, thank you, Don. It's my pleasure. Really had a nice time, and we sure appreciate being on with our show AP and Kill as we see at
Well, we
4 p.m. on
appreciate you
IC
being with us.
Radio. Thank you.
Absolutely. We appreciate you being with us. Don't eat too much of that Cajun food.
I won't, Don.
We'll talk to you later. You take
Okay.
care.
Okay. Bye, Don.
Folks,
Thank you,
we'll see
Donna.
you with another awesome guest in just a few minutes. Y'all take care. Bye, AP.
Bye, Donna. Thank you.